Today we are building a great little FM transmitter that's cheap and easy to make, and I've also made a 3D model as well, so it's easy to see where everything goes so that you don't make any mistakes. You will see clearly how the wiring is between the components, as well as a see-through board to make it even easier to make sure it's all in the right place. This circuit comes from a YouTube channel by Lucas Eckers, link in the description to see the original video. These are the components you will need for the build, and these are the tools that you will need as well. The circuit diagram is great, everything you need without any unnecessary extras, a clean, simple, easy to build circuit with just one transistor. We start off with making the induction coil from some copper wire. Simply wrap the copper wire around the bolt 5 times to make a neat coil, then cut off the extra lengths. Turn the coil off the bolt till you have just this little coil. Stretch out the coil to about 1 centimeter and so that the ends fit between 4 holes of the circuit board. Using a soldering iron to remove some of the insulation on the ends of the coil, you put a little bit of solder on it as well. This part is incorrect in the original video because the coil ends are 4 holes apart, not 5, as you can see in the 3D model here. Here you see Lucas putting in the components, but it's not clear which holes are for which component, but don't worry about that. Later in the video, I'll show you exactly where each component goes. When you build this circuit, make sure the bigger electrolytic capacitors are the right way around and that the resistors and ceramic capacitors are the right ones in the right place. This is the trimmer capacitor or tuning capacitor, as it will adjust the frequency of the transmitter. It normally has 3 legs, so remove one of them that is shared with the second middle leg. Make sure it lines up with the coil so that they can produce the FM signal. This is how the circuit should look when all the components are in the board. I've raised the components so you can more easily see the holes that the components go into, but you can push your components closer to the board to make it neater. In this 3D model, I just used a button to represent the trimmer capacitor, as I didn't have a 3D trimmer cap, but it represents the cap well. Solder in all the components here, making sure you are safe with the soldering iron. When you cut the leads, try cut them close to the board without cutting the solder. As Lucas shows here, these legs will now be used to make the tracks of the board. Carefully solder these legs between the components, taking care not to solder the closer components together. In the end, the underneath of the board will look like this, but it is hard to see from this video which components connect to which. So if we look at the 3D model, we can clearly see the connections. I have marked the connections you will make from the cutoff leads in blue so that they are easier to see. Just as a point of reference, you can see which side of the component board we are looking at and how that relates to the wiring below, which forms something similar to a printed circuit board. Now the real magic happens when the board disappears and we can see the components as well as the connections. When you are building, you can pause the video here and compare your connections to make sure it's right. Again, just a quick look at the soldered board and again a reference on the 3D model with the tracks to make sure you get it right first time. You can see there are some more tricky bits where the tracks or connections cross between the legs of other components. If you're not careful with your soldering, you can accidentally solder the wrong parts together. This is a part of the original Lucas video I don't agree with. You should cut the board to size or have the right size board to start off with. You can easily crack and damage the board while cutting it after all your hard work. Now Lucas used a self-solder mini jack that screws open. Don't use one of these as they are too thick for most mobile devices. Rather buy a thin stereo connector like this that you can get at any hi-fi stores and then just cut the wires. You will either have a single cable with 2 signal wires and an earth like this one, or 2 separate wires with an earth of each cable. If you have cables like this, first twist the braiding or earth of the cables together. Then join the 2 signal cables together, as the transmitter is mono and more likely your device is stereo, so we combine the 2 together by joining those 2 wires. A disclaimer here, you connect your audio devices at your own risk. Make sure you know what you are doing and the risks involved with attaching a mobile device or an audio device. I will not be responsible for any damage to your audio devices. Everything you do from this video is at your own risk. Then, now we get to widening the holes a bit on the board so you're able to fit the cables in. Insert the cables, making sure the signal cable you join together go here and the braiding joins on the negative part of the circuit. To have a better look from the top, you can see where it goes. Now you can add the 9-volt connector or run a cable to your power supply. The 9-volt battery makes the circuit portable, but the battery will eventually run out. A nice regulated power supply will keep the circuit going much longer, and a slightly higher voltage can also increase the signal strength. Here you can see that the black wire, which is the negative voltage connection, connects to the same line as the audio negative of the audio wire braiding. Now let's attach the antenna. You can find one of these in almost any radio-controlled toy. It doesn't have to be from a fancy radio control like this one, but it can be any radio-controlled toy with an antenna. Make sure that it screws out though, because this will help attach it to the circuit board. Have a screw like this that fits the thread of the antenna base so that the screw can go through the circuit board to hold the antenna. In Lucas's video, he screws the antenna holder into the board with the antenna, but this only works if the antenna has an external screw and not a hole with a thread in it. The screw is also better because soldering an antenna is very problematic, because the antenna takes the heat away from the soldering and onto your hand, which can burn you. So rather use the screw so that you don't need to solder the antenna directly, but rather solder the screw and then screw on the antenna afterwards. Then you need to join the wire from the antenna to the center of the coil. You will need to scrape off or solder off some of the insulation off the middle of the coil. In the 3D model, you can see how the wire connects the coil to the antenna. Now we come to testing the transmitter. Once you have checked the circuit properly, find a quiet spot on a radio tuner. You might have to search for a while to find a nice quiet frequency. Sometimes an analog tuner like this works best, but a digital tuner also works well. Eventually, you will find a frequency you like, and then you need to tune the transmitter while it is transmitting. This is not how you should do it, because your hand can change the frequency, so rather use a plastic or wooden tool to tune the trimmer capacitor. You need to have some music playing that you know is your music to not confuse it with other radio stations. But because the frequency you chose is quiet, you should immediately be able to hear your music when the transmitter reaches the same frequency as the tuner. Once you have a clean signal, start and stop your music to make sure you are picking up your transmitter signal and not something else. Lucas does say that this next step is optional, but I would say don't do it at all. He applies wax to the bottom of the circuit to insulate it, but this is a very bad idea. Firstly, it's a fire hazard, but mostly because the wax is not something that you put onto circuit boards. It's messy and doesn't work well, and can even cause the circuit to malfunction. He does say be careful, but you see what a mess his board became. The wax can also get into the trimmer capacitor and make the transmitter not work properly and be difficult to tune. If you want to insulate it, rather use some tape like electrical tape or double-sided sponge tape. Another thing I do not recommend is using cable ties like this, as you can easily break the components, but if you don't mind the risk and want a small portable device, you can do it like this. Lucas ends the video off with a test which doesn't really show what range is possible, as it depends on the building you are in or the terrain that you're on. The signal will travel further outside than inside a house, but Lucas shows about 30 meters indoors, which is about normal. So let's end off with a final look at the transmitter. Before you switch it on, make sure you test the connections with a multimeter to be sure there aren't any short circuits or disconnected wires. To view the original video, click on the link below. The video was made about 5 years ago and seems to be when his channel stopped altogether as well. So you can subscribe to his channel if you want, but I don't think there will be any new videos coming. Enjoy building your transmitter and be safe. Make sure you know how to use a soldering iron safely, and make sure you understand the risks involved. There is a disclaimer in the description. This video is for education and entertainment purposes only. All risks with making and using this device are your own. Make sure you know and abide by the laws of your country when making or using this or any other electronic device, and make sure that you are safe when you are soldering.